Guys, welcome to Real Talk. My name is Jerry Miller. Happy Friday morning. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. On the I Love CVille Network, we're presented by the Yes Team Realtors. A phenomenal show lined up for you. Our guest, Dr. Lisa Sturtevant, phenomenal brain. She knows what really comes down to things when an economic standpoint, a housing standpoint, a market standpoint. We see a ton of real estate agents watching the program. No coincidence with a guest like this.
Sure.
Judah Wickhauer's our director.
It ain't you and me.
Right. Keith Smith's the star of the program of the Yes Team Realtors. This guest, big time, my friend, Keith Smith.
Yeah, the good Dr. Lisa, she's a rock star. This is going to be one of these things that we'll throw a question or two her way and just stay the hell out of the way. She's going to bring in some good stuff. So we talked before we went live. Kind of the topic's going to be wrapped around, the economic impacts for housing on the local economy. And what I really wanted to try to do, this is a great opportunity if a bunch of real estate agents are watching, to ask the good doctor questions.
Ooh, so, I like that.
You like that, huh?
Yeah.
On the spot. Thought about that on the spot.
Very nice.
Mr. Creativity here, right?
Your daughter would be proud, the teacher.
Yeah, that's right. Right. She teaches kindergarten.
Yeah.
So she's
right up her alley.
Right up my alley. It's about my level. It's about my speed on that stuff. But look, put some questions in the feed. Jerry will shout them out, and we'll hopefully the good doctor can stay with us for a little while. But we're just gonna dive in and see how it goes.
The market is now in the back half of the final quarter. We will get to our bet. Why don't we save the bet till after the interview?
Yeah. I'm smiling because that's where I thought you were going.
With Lisa. He's looking pretty good with our bet right now.
I am.
We'll give you some insight into that wager and how the distinguished gentleman may have squeaked out this victory.
I don't know yet. It's close.
Keith, we are 40 days away from Christmas.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
I take that back. We are 35 days from Christmas.
In the middle of all this craziness of this 2020, what's the word of the year? Pivot. Constant pivoting. Back and forth. Yeah, so, maybe Lisa can help us with our bet a little bit. But at the moment, I got to do a trifecta, and I'm one of them. I'm a little worried about the other two. I think I got.
How does the final 45 days or so each year in Charlottesville and around Central Virginia look from a real estate standpoint? And this year is an anomaly.
So that's a great question for Lisa.
Yeah.
But I will tell you from my perspective, typically it kind of slows down a little bit. Clearly that's not happening right now. But I think it's from my perspective and what we're trying to do, we have clients, I just can't find homes for them to buy. Right, so that's the problem. I think there's a lack of inventory, and again, these are just great questions for the good doctor.
Dr. Lisa Sturtevant, Chief Economist, Virginia Realtors. We'll reach out to her in a matter of moments. You can offer perspective, Instagram, direct message, text message, email, Facebook on the live stream. I will reach out to her now. Why don't we give some love to Intrastate Pest and Service Companies, one of our presenting sponsors.
Absolutely.
Truly a home's best friend.
Truly a home's best friend, and what always excites me about Intrastate Pest and Service Companies is their ability to do renovation work, right? And we're talking about lack of inventory, right? And we're talking about the need to kind of dress up a home a little bit, and these guys can help you. But more importantly, you know whose birthday it is today?
Tell me.
Come on.
Tell me.
It's connected to Intrastate. You should know this.
I know, but tell me.
It's Mrs. Rhodes.
Yeah?
Wells.
Stephanie?
Stephanie's Rhodes Wells. Yeah, Stephanie's birthday.
Stephanie Wells Rhodes' birthday.
I got the Rhodes and the Wells mixed up in my brain.
I love it. Lisa's on the line.
I think she's 22.
She is 22 years old, and she's watching right now. Stephanie, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Judah Wickhauer, the director, Keith Smith. Lisa's on the line here. We have a rock star as a guest. Lisa, thank you for joining us on the program.
Happy to be here.
Why don't we get out of your way here? Give us a brief introduction to yourself, and then we'll talk shop, and I'll turn the computer around to Keith Smith.
That sounds great. Keith, thanks for the chance to join you guys this morning. How y'all been?
My standard answer is if I was doing any better, it'd be illegal. So we're doing great. Life is good. We're gonna pack up the car on Sunday to go see both our daughters and grandson for Thanksgiving. So
Very nice.
we're looking good. A little bit of a different haircut.
I like
since
it,
we
Lisa.
last-
It looks good.
Looks really good on you.
You guys are so nice. Look, my husband didn't even notice, so it's nice to come on these events so that I can get some love.
gee.
So thank you very
Gee.
much.
Oh boy. Think we just got ourselves into trouble.
Come on.
Whoops. Well, it does. It looks very good on you. Well done. Well done. So there's a bunch of folks watching, a lot of real estate agents watching at the moment, but there's some folks that are not. So if you could give us a 30-second snapshot of who you are and the rock star you are, then we'll dive into the subject matter.
Yeah, no, Keith, thanks. I'm really glad to be here. Happy to talk with as many real estate professionals and realtors as I can. I'm Lisa Sturtevant. I'm chief economist with Virginia Realtors. Really just love talking about housing market data, economic data. Super excited to be here today. We have October sales numbers out, home sales statewide up 28%. Year over year, we're seeing year to date that 2020 is up 5% over 2019. So even with the downturn, real estate keeps chugging along. And I know you've been talking a little bit about the important role real estate plays in the state's economy, and I can't overstate that fact as well.
Well, hopefully we'll kind of chat a little bit about some specifics about that on the moment, but let's do a little crystal ball stuff before we get into that, right? Let's just have a little fun here.
Sure.
What do you think 2021 is going to look like?
That question literally just came in from a Richmond agent. Ask your guest about 2021.
So the chemistry is working.
That's right. Well, so that's an interesting question. And so when people say, what is 2021 going to look like? My first question is, in what area are you talking about? Right? I think that it depends on what you are looking at. So let me take one angle, and then we can decide if that's the right angle. I think that we're going to see that the home sales market continues to be strong in 2021 for a couple reasons. Demand will still be there. Mortgage rates are expected to stay around 3% through 2021, despite forecasts of an improved economy. We expect mortgage rates to remain low. However, I think that the constraint on our home sales market continues to be inventory. And so I'm going to forecast, and you'll see my forecasts are going to come out later this month.
Oh, we're getting a preview. We're getting a preview.
A little preview. Home sales are going to slow a little bit in 2021, overall transactions, simply because of supply, not because of demand or any sort of fault in the market. So we should expect sales to be down a little bit in 2021 compared to 2020, in my estimation.
And I will go along with a bet with you on that because I believe you're right. I believe you're right. Okay. I think you're going to.
Oh, you're not betting against me. Okay.
No. We're going to do that a little bit later. I've got an idea for that because Jerry and I've got a little bit of a little hustle bet going on here that maybe you can help us with. But before we get off of that subject, I've been in this business for over 3 decades. I've never heard somebody like you or the feds or anybody saying, "Hey, I think it's 3% for another 12 months."
Pretty much guarantee it.
Yeah, no,
Have you ever heard that before?
No, and I don't say that lightly. Look, I'm no mortgage broker for sure, and I'd love to hear their take on it. But when you have Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the Mortgage Bankers Association all coming out with their 2021 forecasts, and by Q4 2021 rates are still at 3%, I don't know why I should go against that. Those experts saying that. And I think the sign is that there's just so much weakness and uncertainty in the economy that we don't see it working itself out by the end of 2021. So there's just no real reason to think that those fundamentals that drive mortgage rates are going to turn that around in 2021.
I was having a conversation with a mutual friend of everybody, Michael Guthrie. I think you know Michael Guthrie well.
Sure.
And we were
actually watching.
We were just having a conversation. I think 2022. I mean, we've never done this as an industry forecast 12 months ahead. Yeah. Nevertheless, 24 months. But I think 2022, and Michael was the one that kind of talked to me a little bit about this, and I think he's spot on. I think you're going to see 2022 get a little softer. But
why?
I just think this. I think what's going to happen. I think this inventory is just not going to get better. And I think you're going to start seeing interest rates go up, which may help the inventory a little bit. But what do I know? I mean, we're talking to a doctor that she's the expert in this stuff. But
why don't we think inventory is going to get better, Lisa? If consumer confidence is going to uptick, we have a vaccine on the horizon, rapid tests on the horizon, interest rates historically low. Why won't inventory uptick? Do we think?
Yeah, so I have a couple explanations, but I am open to others because I think about this all the time. Inventory, we've been talking about it in the midst of COVID and the recession. Inventory has been declining for 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
This is not a new phenomenon, right? COVID has exacerbated it, but the reasons inventory are low are primarily related to two factors. The first and most important is demographics. The population is aging, and we have a greater share of homeowners in their 50s and 60s who are staying in their homes longer. And that is enough to keep inventory lower. Folks are not listing their homes, they're not moving as often. And then the second is that new construction really ground to a halt, as we know, like 15 years ago, and it is still slow to pick back up. So between a lack of new construction and these changes in like length of tenure, people are remaining in their homes up to 2 to 4 years longer, depending on where you look throughout the state. And that makes a big difference on the inventory front. And the reason why people are staying, which I know will be your next question, is A, they don't have anywhere else to go, right? It's sort of a reinforcing cycle. And B, we're seeing some of the baby boomers, folks in their 50s and 60s, who are holding on to those bigger homes, right? Because junior's coming back to live, or they like the idea of an extra room for a craft room, or in this case, a home office, and so they're hanging on to the home, and that's one of the reasons why inventory's declining, I think.
So before I know we have a specific topic about housing on the impact, but before we get to that.
I love this conversation.
Oh, without doubt.
Yeah. So do the viewers. The questions are coming in for her.
So, just Lisa and I have.
We have to get some questions in. Yeah, I know. She's popular.
Well, it's the hairstyle.
Yeah.
It's totally the hairstyle.
And
the brain.
power.
And the brain.
And the brain power.
And the brain.
Yeah, of course,
okay.
Right.
All right. And the brain. I think it's the haircut, but what do I know? So Jerry asks me this question all the time, and I fumble at trying to answer this. How do we increase inventory? How do we do that?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer.
We need to build more houses. I don't mean to make it sound like that's I don't mean to make it sound like an obvious answer, but we need to build more houses. And at the crux, you get a home builder on here or someone from the Virginia Home Builders Association. We need to figure out what the obstacles are at the local level to building more homes. And then on top of that, we need to figure out if there's something we can do on the labor side and on the lumber side. Those are sort of the two other big constraints on building homes. Labor is really hard to find, and lumber's getting really expensive. So I don't know. And let me be a little bit morbid just for a second. The inventory challenge will shake itself out in the long term, right? Because in the long term, we're all going to move on from this world, and demographics mean that the generation behind is a little bit smaller. So in a couple of decades, we might be talking about too much inventory in some markets. But in the short term, it's new construction is the solution.
So this sounds like I'm an advertising guy. You guys are real estate guys. She's an economist. This sounds like an advertising campaign waiting to happen. From either Virginia Realtors, the national Realtors, you have historically low mortgage rates. You have little competition in the marketplace. Sure. Inventory should be coming on the market.
Well, so what Lisa's saying is what we've been talking about on previous shows. So I know you've been very busy. You don't have nothing else better to do to watch our shows. But we've been talking about this very subject, and as I refer to it as red tape versus green tape, right? Mm-hmm. And we have brought on folks from the building.
That's from industry. A new construction standpoint, though.
Right.
Yeah, but I'll let Lisa answer it, but if you increase your new construction, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, if you increase your construction volume, your existing will follow along with it. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, to Jerry's point, like this idea of why wouldn't people list their homes in this environment? Why can't we do a marketing campaign? Look, if I list my home, where am I going to move to?
That's fair.
That's exactly
right. And so I think the new construction is the first step in getting that cycle that you're suggesting going.
So we talked about this. Today's what, Friday? We talked
Yeah.
about this on Tuesday, right? We were talking about underperforming properties in the Charlottesville area and putting on my recovering developer and builder geek hat on. When you have a project that takes 2 to 3 years to get through site plan,
Yeah.
that's by right. That's just the cycle. I mean, you're a cycle person, right? You understand cycles better than economic cycles better than anybody. 3 years is a lifetime.
Yeah.
In that stuff.
Are we going to keep? Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
No. I just on that issue of cycles. I was talking with someone in the Fredericksburg region, and home builders want to build a single family home, and it's an 18-month pipeline. It's not 3 years; it's 18 months. But Keith, as you're suggesting, the world is could look really different in a year and a half. And we know how long 8 months has changed our lives. You can imagine what a year and a half would do.
So I before we get to some questions off the feed, and I promised you I was only going to eat up 15 minutes of your time.
Oh, man, I was hoping to get more from Lisa.
Which
I love when she comes on the show.
But I actually lied to you, Lisa, so. I've been thinking about this morning, how do you actually simplify the conversation about what housing, both existing and new construction, impacts the local economy? And I had a bit of a moment as I was driving in. All folks that have been around 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010, if you remember what the housing crisis did to our economy, if you could just remember how it sunk, just invert that. That's how important what we do in the housing sector to the economy. And I can't put specific numbers to it, and I'm sure you can, Lisa. But from a visual perspective, if you remember those years, and I call them a depression, not a recession, because I got caught up in it, so it was a depression to me. But the reality of it is that's how important it is when they had that crash and all the foreclosures came on it. So maybe you can do it much better justice than that, but that's kind of how I was thinking about it.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Keith. We know we know that the real estate industry and the housing market is important to the economy, but how do we convey that? And I have some numbers I can share, but let me tell you the way I think about it and how I explain it sort of generally is, we know we care about jobs, right? If people are thinking about the economy, everyone can jobs. Sure, we want more jobs. Well, homes are where jobs come to sleep at night, right? So if you don't have homes, you don't have jobs. And so that's one very, very oversimplified way to think about it. But you cannot grow the workforce, you cannot grow the local economy if you don't have a place for people to live. I have a bunch of numbers here I could share as well, but if we want a very oversimplified way to think about it, that's sometimes how I
That was perfect.
That's perfect. Simple is good, particularly for us two here. Homes
are where jobs go to sleep at night.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to steal that. That is beautiful.
It's great. But to go back to the housing thing, a very dear friend of mine runs a homeless nonprofit here, and he goes, the simplest way to fix homelessness is put people in homes. And I went, wow.
Right.
But share some numbers, because we're number geeks. We love them.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, and I do think it's important because, we know here in Virginia during the pandemic, the real estate industry really kept chugging along. And one reason for that is the real estate industry wasn't shut down. There were some states, right, where the governor said no more real estate transactions. But, real estate's not an essential business. But we've done 113,000 home sales transactions through October 31st. That is a total of $44 billion in sales volume in the first 10 months of this year. That's up 13% from last year. And what that means is when the state's budget has been a little bit uncertain, recordation tax collections totaled, nearly $60 million through October. And that is a 42% increase from last year. This has been a really important part of the state's budget to have those real estate transactions continuing. So a typical home sale in Virginia, home sales transaction generates about $96,000 in economic activity every time a home is sold through generating the new jobs, right? Think about a home sales. All the direct transactions, but then someone goes to Lowe's to buy a new couch. Well, that's economic activity. And someone hires a painter to come paint the living room, and that's some sales, that's additional activity. So it's definitely a big part. It's about a fifth of the state's GDP, the real estate industry.
That is amazing. Those were great statistics.
It's the fifth. So what is our industry as number one? What number is it in industry in the state? I think it's eighth, if I remember it right. I may be wrong.
Yeah. Well, it sort of depends on how you measure it, of course. But
Sure.
if you measure just direct expenditures, the real estate industry is number 2.
Really?
And it's number 2 after the federal government / federal contracting industry. It's huge.
But
And
that number two, that number 2 is the whole supply chain.
That's all, and it's also commercial and residential. So let's be clear about that.
But it's real estate nonetheless. Yeah.
It is real estate nonetheless,
Wow.
and it's big. It's bigger than anything but basically government.
That's serious.
Told you we'd learn something. I did not know that.
Yeah, she's dropping knowledge bombs. Lisa, this question's coming from you from Northern Virginia. Guys, can you ask your guest if the trend of urban flight to the suburban areas will continue in 2021?
I love this question, and I'm glad you asked it. I just posted to LinkedIn basically saying something like, is this news media story about flight from cities overblown? Is it just a New York City phenomenon? And I say that because I look at the home sales transactions in October in Arlington, Alexandria, Richmond, Virginia Beach. They're all up by double-digit amounts compared to last year. Well, I don't know, we're seeing this flight. Even DC, home sales transactions are up 19% compared to a year ago. There's no flight that I'm seeing. Now, there is some increased interest in some exurban and rural communities, and that certainly has been the case. But I'm that word flight, I don't see it here. What we are seeing, interestingly, is we're seeing a lot of new listings of condos. So we're seeing people wanting to buy, and they're still buying in Charlottesville and in Arlington and in Richmond, but not as much on the condo side, more so looking for the townhomes and the single-family homes.
That makes sense.
Well, that's COVID.
Yeah, that's COVID.
That's COVID.
Yeah.
That's
So
straight up.
we're not fleeing, and I do think that it'll be, sort of for the next year, we'll see kind of a shakeup of where people are looking for homes, for sure.
So to keep this crystal ball thing going a little bit,
Yeah.
so we got a shot, right? A shot came in, a vaccine's come in.
Yeah.
Let's say we're having a conversation this month next year.
Yep.
COVID is, God willing, over with, right? Do you see that reversing? Do you see maybe the market
Going back to urban?
Or
That's
is
a good
this
question.
or is this a permanent shift?
Human behavior change.
Yeah. What? Tell me, Keith. When are we talking? Are we talking
A
next
year from now.
or next?
Okay,
year.
magically next month, COVID is over.
Oh, yeah. Well, COVID's not going to be over next
Yeah,
month.
I understand that.
No. But I think it's important, the timing of this, not to be too serious about this, but I do think the timing is important. And I think one thing to keep in mind is prior to COVID, we were seeing a shift to the suburbs anyway.
Agreed.
Again, going back to the demographics that keep chugging along, we saw millennials hitting their early 30s, their mid 30s, their late 30s, getting married, having kids. We were seeing a little bit of a shift out of the urban markets to suburban markets prior to COVID. There's no reason to think that won't continue until we get that Generation Z, right, up and running into their 20s, and they're in the market. So I don't know. I sort of feel like it's not going to be any major shift either way, but a continuation of these longer term trends.
You and I think exactly alike. We've been sharing this on the show, the NAR generational statistics, as you well know, and we've been doing it for 2 years in a row, and it's been the last 3 years that we've been tracking the numbers. It's in huge numbers. COVID just kind of jumped it up. But to go back to this flight thing, which, by the way, I hate that word also, it's just a swap, right? People are going out, people are coming in. There's not a flight. New York City's a different story, right?
Yep.
They're seeing a negative,
Yeah.
I think it's around 7%, if I remember the number correctly.
Yeah, I think it's a big city story. And by big city, I mean even bigger than DC, New York City,
Sure.
San Francisco maybe, but
Sure.
we're not seeing as much here.
And what's happened, because I've, as you can tell by my accent, that's where I'm from, and I have a family up there, and my sister's in the business up there. What they're really doing is they're going to their second home out in the Hamptons, or they're going to their second home upstate New York, and they're just staying there.
Yeah.
And they're working remotely, they're educating remotely, they're doing whatever they're doing. That's the reason I was asking the question. I think when this is magically over, whatever that time is, I think you're going to see that go back the other way.
I see. Yeah, but they're not giving their homes up in the city though, are they? They're not selling, right?
No, they're not.
So that's, I mean, from a real estate transaction standpoint, it's not going to be a surge in transactions when they move back. They're just moving back into where they were before, right?
So before we get out to let Jerry chime in a couple of questions here. I was part of a 2011 Virginia housing white paper on it, and they broke it down. We're talking about impacts, right, of the economy. It blew my mind. I did not realize we were second in the state. In reality, we're one if you take the government out of it, if I heard that right. So there's basically, we talked about it in three separate ways. Direct impacts, which I think you covered. Indirect impacts, and then what we termed it was induced impacts. And to define them very quickly, direct is about as plain as it can be. This is the actual transaction. Indirect is the marketing side, the painter, so forth, and then the induced is the ongoing income that this particular engine creates, and it's something I talk in front of many elected officials, have been doing it for a long time, and this subject is very difficult to explain to them because they believe housing is actually a drain on the local economies, which is not the case. So if you can jump in on that would be great.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but I feel like, we talk about housing so often at the local level as using, Keith, that word, a drain. People use that word. Well, I said homes are where jobs come to sleep, but oftentimes people will say homes are where school kids come to live, and school kids are expensive, right? And so it's this idea that it costs the local government when a new home goes in. But when you only look at one side of the ledger, right, you're missing all of those economic benefits that you just mentioned, and it's an unfair way to evaluate when a new home is constructed because there are significant direct and spillover economic effects, both at the local level and, sort of spreading out statewide.
So I'm a bit of a spreadsheet geek, and I ran some numbers for my Fulvana County, where I currently live. And there's a magic break-even number on the sale, and it's about 242, right? So it's just resale stuff. And anything above that, in our world, we would call that super profit. Right. So if you're above that 242 number, and this is purely looking at tax, real estate revenue, right? What the services that the local government gives versus what it comes in. This has got nothing to do with induced. This has nothing to got to do with anything. This is just straight, simple A plus B or minus B equals C on that end of it. And once you start explaining that, particularly to the local officials, the light bulb starts going on. We just put a house on the market today for $262 at the lake, and so that house is immediately going to generate revenue.
Yeah. Well, and I'll add.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think that is such a straightforward way to talk about it, and I'll add too that you don't even need to get up to a certain $242,000 price point. We found in Northern Virginia that having homes that might not, quote unquote, pay for themselves from a fiscal standpoint are critically important because they allow workers to be in the region, right? And if you're only having homes for people at a certain income level, then you're not going to have a coffee shop and a restaurant and a place to buy office supplies, right? And so it really is a critically important, beyond just the fiscal or the tax revenue impact, really more broadly at the economic level.
Well, I could be chatting with you for probably another couple of hours, but I think we have some folks that want to ask some questions. So I will shut up, which is a hard thing for me to do.
I'm going to fire these at you here, Lisa, because we're mindful of your time. This question's coming in also from Richmond from an agent. Any pockets of vulnerability in Virginia you see in 2021, Lisa?
So the only thing that I've seen that I would call even close to vulnerable is, getting back to this issue, is the condo market in some of the high cost submarkets, particularly in the Northern Virginia market, where we're seeing listings up by 40, 50, 60% compared to a year ago in the condo market. Even around, I was reading this morning, even around the neighborhoods around Amazon, we're seeing the number of condo listings up higher than they were a year ago. So otherwise, the market looks really sound in 2021, and I don't see any particular problem spots.
This question coming in, if taxes and or assessments go up in 2021 and 2022 because the municipalities are behind from a budget standpoint, what's the impact that Lisa thinks that's going to have on real estate in the next couple years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question about the local property tax, and sort of more generally about whether there'll be any federal stimulus money coming to the local and the state governments in this, what I hope and what many people hope will be a next round of stimulus funding, because localities are going to be in a really tough bind, and we are going to see property taxes increase. And I think if there's no other assistance coming in from the federal government, and I think that's going to make it, right, affordability is going to be harder for folks, people living on fixed incomes, who may have even paid off their home and find they're faced with higher property taxes, are going to be increasingly challenged. But like I said, localities are going to be in a bind unless we see some type of stimulus that targets the local governments in the next few months.
So I'm a commissioner on the Planning District Commission here, and so I have all the 6 jurisdictions, all elected officials. This has been the conversation. You know, those who may or may not know, they start setting their budgets now for the next fiscal year. Yeah. Right. And so that's all starting already, and they're tightening.
That's why we need new taxable revenue sources.
Sure. Fast.
I mean, that's why the governor's pushing gambling. Sure. That's why the governor on Monday was pushing cannabis. Sure. I mean, that's incremental taxes right there.
Sure.
I mean, it's going to sting people. The taxes are going to sting people.
Well, and but it's just a discussion that's happening right now, and they're the word panic is not the right word, but they're concerned, and you know they are doing their crunching their numbers, and you're gonna see some services suffer. I mean, it's just what's going to happen, unfortunately.
All right, final question for you, Lisa, because we're mindful of your time here. We haven't talked anything about landlords. On this program here. Anywhere you want to go, open-ended question, just drop us some knowledge on landlords. Often an overlooked demographic in this pandemic, the landlords.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think the story around tenants and eviction moratoria are get the headlines, and it's a super important topic because we know people being stably housed is so critical, particularly during an economic downturn. But I think what we're finding is that landlords are finding it increasingly difficult to continue to meet their financial obligations when tenants are unable to pay. And so Virginia Realtors has really been working with the governor and the legislature to put some parameters around some of these eviction moratoria that say mom and pop, sort of small landlords, have a little bit more flexibility in how they're able to work with tenants on making payments, and so what I think we'll see is that there's going to be some landlords I think are going to get out of the rental game, particularly those who own single family homes. If you see the market so hot, right? Why not?
You would sell.
Why not sell it, right? And get out of this mess. And I think part of the challenge though landlords are finding is right now it's near impossible to evict a tenant in some cases. So you have to wait till the end of the lease. And so, but I do think we're going to see a little bit more of that, which might help supply a little bit, but will certainly make the rental market even more challenging for folks.
So I'll do a tie-in to that. So amongst all this crazy stuff I do, I chair the Regional Housing Partnership, and we are working on a rent relief. We are in the middle of a rent relief program, and the Senate or the state actually just changed the rules where the landlord actually can apply on
behalf of the tenant.
On behalf of the tenants, and
which is the way it should be.
Correct.
Because the landlord has significant skin in the game and wants his or her money.
Absolutely, and I get that, but so the original thought was it didn't think about the landlord, it only thought about the tenant, and now they like typically happens, they amended it. We just got a huge tranche of money. I don't want to quote it because I'll probably get it wrong.
For the landlords.
Well, it's just into the whole program, and we're trying to get they're trying to get the information out so these mom and pop, for lack of a better term, landlords can reach out and say, hey, and it's a substantial amount of money.
That's good.
It's in the millions, actually.
Yep.
So Lisa,
you're awesome.
Love the haircut. Tell your husband he needs to pay attention or give him my cell number?
I will.
And I'll fix that for you.
Please don't give your husband Keith's cell number. You will regret that. Do not do that.
You would
do
regret,
not do
you would
that.
regret that. But you're a rock star. I always appreciate any conversation that we have. There's most guests, but you excel at it. When we start doing this, I forget all about these 10 cameras.
I feel like I'm like in a bar or a barber shop with you guys and just talking real estate. It's fun.
Yeah, we're going to do that post-COVID, right? We're going to do this from a bar.
I'm down. What's your drink of choice, Lisa?
Oh, I'm my favorite drink is a Negroni. So we have to go somewhere where I can get a good Negroni.
We know a spot. We can take her to the alleyway.
Okay. There you go.
Here, not a problem.
Yeah.
Richmond, a little bit different, but here we got that fixed. I like it. An economist in a bar. That has to be a joke somewhere.
That's a joke.
There's got to be.
Lisa, you were awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
All right,
guys.
you have a good one. She's fantastic. Bye. She's absolutely fantastic. And J-Dubs, why don't you get a mask on here? We'll get the Instagram live started for him. You can take that earpiece out, K. Smith, and you can go with the Instagram headphones. She's fantastic. And that was Dr. Lisa Sturtevant.
The good doc.
Chief Economist for Virginia Realtors.
Rocking a new haircut.
She's a great guest every time she comes on this program.
Always learn something.
Yeah. I think the number she
not.
quoted was $96,000.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Each home that's sold in Virginia, $96,000 impact.
I had an $85,000 number, so mine's old apparently.
96K. That's something right there. We're about to we're going live on Instagram. You're about to see Keith Smith here. For all the folks on Instagram that are watching, the distinguished gentleman. This is Real Talk presented by the Yes Team Realtors. We just had Chief Economist Lisa Sturtevant of Virginia Realtors on the program, and she was absolutely fantastic. What struck you from the interview there, Keith Smith? Judah, are you getting on here with the Instagram? I'm live. What struck you from that interview?
Hold on a second here, guys. There you go. The 96 and the second. I did not realize. I was thinking of some old data. I had us at 8.
Keep going.
At 8. So I don't know what we're doing here. Focus. You hate it when I do that.
No, you just can't focus. You just can't focus.
I don't know. I'm looking at two of you. It gets me all excited. Oh, come on. You got to be nice to me.
I am
I'm older.
Nice to you.
I'm an older gentleman. You're supposed to treat your elders
You're
nicely.
not older. You're a young man.
I am.
What struck you from the interview with Lisa Sturtevant?
I told you the second. I did not realize we were second beyond after the government. So you peel out the government. We're number one. And like I was trying to say, all you got to do is remember 07, 08, 09. We didn't start turning around until 10.
And you guys are carrying us now. Real estate is carrying the economy in a lot of ways now.
I would agree with that.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We just had Instagram, for those who are watching, we just had Lisa Sturtevant, Chief Economist, Virginia Realtors, and she informed us that real estate, the industry in totality, the second largest industry in Virginia behind the government.
And if you carve the government out, we're number one. That blew my mind. I thought we were 8. And then the 96, which is about 10 grand higher than I had. In the math that, the numbers I was digging up, but, I'll trust, the good doc knows way more than I do on that.
$96,000 each home sold in Virginia has a $96,000 impact on the Virginia economy.
So how many questions did we not get to?
A few. Do you want me to throw those to you?
Yeah. Why don't you do that?
A lot of the questions were about interest rates, and if interest rates stay stable through next year, the impact it's going to have on housing. What I was taken aback from the interview with Lisa was her prediction that 2021, from a real estate standpoint, will not be potentially as strong as 2020.
That's purely from an inventory perspective.
And she cited it from an inventory perspective, right? Right. But we need homes to sell to drive sales.
If I don't have homes to sell,
what are you going to do for a living?
What am I going to do? I'm going to come talk to you every day.
Get us some homes to sell.
Get some homes. Get some listings for this guy. So it's bad enough I got to see him twice a week.
That's
3
not
times
true.
a week. Well, but that kind of goes to what our bet was been about.
Yeah, let's
right?
talk about that.
And and how I was feeling a little nervous because, just the lack of inventory. If we don't have the inventory to turn over, I'm not going to win this bet. But
you won the bet.
Well, I don't think so. We're not. It's razor close. So the bet is second quarter 2019. What is sold, days on market, and the median sales price or total volume. So this is a 25-mile radius, no new construction. We've been talking about this for a while. So the baseline is 1,000 units. They are 15 days on market, and it's 386 million total sales volume. What we're doing right now in sold, so that's from October 1 until today, we got 527 units sold, 17 days on market, and 226 on that. But if you go and add in the pendings of it, we're a little over, about 1,026 units. So it's going to be razor close.
Yeah. You got it on total sales volume.
Well, they've got to close, brother. So 499 units that are currently
So
under
our
contract.
bet in very simple terms, Q4 2020, the last quarter of 2020.
It's going to be close.
Versus the second quarter of 2019, 3 criteria. Total sales volume. It's looking like Keith Smith's going to get that win.
I think I'm going to lose.
Total sales volume?
Well, it's a trifecta. I got to hit all 3, brother.
Sure, but you're going to get 2
I'm going to lose
the
at DOMs.
You're going to lose days on market.
That's what I'm going to lose.
But you'll win total sales volume,
Yeah.
and you'll win sales price going up.
So what do I get? Like 2/3 of the bottle?
We get a half a bottle of bourbon over there. And I think Quentin Beckham gave me that bottle.
No, we haven't bought it yet. It's a Riggleman thing. But it's going to be razor close. But the reason, it's what we're talking about here. The reason I've been nervous about this, we're joking, we're having fun. It's just a fun thing to do. But if this inventory doesn't loosen up, but the good doc was spot on. If I don't have a place to go to, why am I putting my house on the market? And I know you have some thoughts on that.
I do.
And the new construction, even though it's ramping up, right? It's pretty hot. If it's taking 5 or 6 years to get projects off the ground, new construction projects off the ground, the inventory, the stock is just not growing fast enough.
For me, this is the definition of a advertising conundrum. Because if we inform the market, which the market you think would already know, that now is the best time ever to sell your house.
Well, we're doing this twice a week. That's what we're telling everybody.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, this should be a national, statewide, and regional campaign.
But if you don't...
All the associations.
I know Mr. Miller doesn't care, but I know if Mrs. Miller can't find the perfect house to buy, Mrs. Miller's not moving.
That's true.
Right? Keith and Yonna don't find the perfect circumstances to buy. We're just going to stay put. Right? And that's what you got to loosen up. And the new construction helps that, right? Because it brings supply, right? Economics, supply and demand, pretty 101 stuff. So that's the struggle into that. And we talked about this on Tuesday. This whole red tape thing needs to be loosened up, because you can't. We talked about this with Lisa. If it takes years and years and years to get something done and go vertical, the whole market. We just learned this. The whole market changes, right?
Yeah.
So it's a what's that word? Conundrum.
Conundrum.
Look at that. Conundrum.
What do you think of this comment right here? Most jobs in Virginia are in 3 places where I don't see inventory changing. Northern Virginia and Hampton Roads are 2 of them. There is very little developable land in Charlottesville, and due to zoning, there's not much in Albemarle County for high density. The general Richmond metro area might be the only prime area for affordable expansion of inventory.
So I've been doing this for 30 years, and they've been talking about it, and it's been coming, is where Richmond and Charlottesville's coming together.
Yeah, it's going to be the same place.
And that's the reason I've been always
Zion's Crossroads.
Always high on Zion's Crossroads, right? And there's a little bit of water and sewer now there from Fulvana's side of things. The same with Louisa. So there's the infrastructure there to go ahead and move that forward. But you're going to start seeing that area grow. I mean, Fulvana County itself is starting to grow. You're going to see Greene start doing it. Some of these outlining counties, and our good friend Jesse Rutherford over in Nelson County, you're also starting to see that change a little bit too. You're starting to see the percentage-wise Nelson County increase. Their numbers are small, right? but they're starting to increase. And why is that? Well, it's basically two things. It's cost effective, and Nelson County years ago got in front of this fiber, and they have a really excellent backbone of fiber. So you got your internet, you got your room, you got your prices that are good. You hop on 29, you're 20 minutes if something like that.
You're everywhere.
And you're everywhere, right? You're up in Wintergreen skiing if you want, or you're on 150, what? 150?
150 fun.
150 fun.
Yeah.
Having a cocktail or two. So you're starting to see those percentages go up a little bit. But Lisa was right. I think, because I was looking at the numbers this morning on Charlottesville, it's kind of an in and out kind of thing. There's not oh my God, everybody's leaving. This is not like the 70s, right? Where 60s and the 70s, everybody was just vacating the urban. You're starting to see a bit of a flip on it. So I agree with her. I think this flight is a wrong word. I just think you're starting to see a transition.
People want more backyard. They want more space.
Yeah. So I think where the normal healthy kind of changing of the market will be is I think you're seeing, and we're seeing this on our end of it, and thank you for the help for you guys are doing on this. We're starting to see Northern Virginia come down here, the Northeast market coming down into this area, which is only putting a little bit more pressure on inventory on it. But I think that was a pretty darn good interview.
Yeah, she was fantastic. She said the only soft spot potentially in 2021 was condominiums.
So that's the third thing that I never thought about until we had that conversation.
The condo market softening.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
because you want more land, you want a backyard, you want some space, you want to get off people.
But historically, even when we had the Great Real Estate Depression, as I refer to it, the condo market took a hit first.
Yeah.
On that end.
Doesn't it always?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
It always gets hit first, right?
For whatever reason.
Well, you know why.
Yeah. But it gets hit first. But this is a unique situation, right? People are going out.
Why do we're taking our viewers and listeners for granted? Why does it get hit first?
Oh, sorry, forgot.
Yeah.
Forgot we got cameras.
Let's inform them.
Well, I'm going to let you go first because I think my opinion is different than yours.
Well, I have a condo that's a rental.
Yeah.
And I bought mine in exactly the wrong time.
Yeah, got it.
Like 2008, right
Sure.
before it hit the fan.
Sure.
In a 5-phase rollout.
Sure.
And they never got to the 5th phase.
Yeah.
The developer from Virginia Beach said, "These ain't selling. I'm going to convert them to rentals." And then that developer has such a lion's share of the it's the villas at Southern Ridge.
Sure.
Has such a lion's share of the development that he controls the votes
So we're on the same page.
and the board.
We're on the same
So
page.
when that happens, the individual owners, this is my personal experience, the individual owner doesn't have the autonomy that he or she thought when purchasing a piece of property. On top of that, you don't own the land.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the own the land or not own the land is immaterial. I think for this conversation, but Walker Square is a prime example.
Walker Square on West Main Street.
Thank you very much. That actually flipped a couple of times.
From rentals to ownership?
I believe, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. Started with condos, went to apartments in the downturn, then flipped back to condos.
And those are pretty nice.
Oh, unbelievable! We sold them like 4 or 5 years ago for like $1.25.
Yeah, and now what are they, over 2?
Oh, over 2.25 if you can find one. But the other struggle with the condos, which we're not talking about, is the difficulty of getting them financed.
Yeah.
And the difficulty there's either, and not to get geeked out too much here, but there's what they call warrantable and non-warrantable, and the factor is how many units does Jerry Miller
Does the
own?
Developer own?
Or not necessarily a developer, but
one group, one entity.
well, yeah, correct. So it's owner occupied is the term, right? So it doesn't really. It could be multiple. Like you own 10, Judah owns 10, I own 50. They're all rental units and not owner occupied units. And if that's over 51%, then it's very difficult to get financing for it. But that's probably a great question to bring, somebody like Mike and Scott and some of these guys that we deal with all the time on the show to answer that question. Exactly how difficult is condo financing? But that's usually the struggle. When we start talking to folks about condos, it's exactly how we're going to purchase them.
And townhomes don't fall in that same category?
No, because it's fee simple. You own the dirt, unless it's a land trust.
Yeah.
But you own the dirt. That's a whole different animal. It's a fee simple transaction. It's no different than buying a single family detached home on that end of it.
Keith Smith dropping knowledge bombs today. I love when Keith Smith does that.
I don't know about that.
Your boy Andre Xavier's got a question for you. Keith Smith.
When am I going to call him?
How is the growth in orange near Gordonsville?
Wow, what a great question. I don't know, because I haven't done enough research out there. I would suspect. I'll dig into that for Tuesday's show. But my suspicion, it's going to be probably pretty good. I think the same methodology is applying, that people are moving out of the urban centers, and as long as it's got good internet service, and that's the primary,
That's the key.
That's the key right now.
Yeah.
On that stuff. So, great question. I don't know the details, but I'll get them for him.
Plus,
I owe him a phone call.
This question coming in: how's the inventory in Lake Monticello? A few weeks ago, you were talking about that it was at an all-time low for the neighborhood.
Is Mrs. Smith watching?
Yonna, are you watching? Yonna Smith?
I didn't look at the numbers, but I think we had a conversation this morning. I want to say about 22 units.
22 units out of how many?
4,300 homes.
4,300 homes and 22 units in Lake Monticello on the market.
If Yonna's watching, she can chime in with it, but it's in the 20s, right? So just think about that percentage-wise. What's 1% of 4,300?
43.
It's not even 1%. It's 0.5%.
That's not good.
At 4,300 homes. And I tell this all the time. When we first moved there in 1987, there were 600 homes built. 300 of them were on the market. I'm pretty sure that's 50%. Just kidding. So, so it's at historically low inventory, and if you take a look at and we just put this awesome listing on, which I think is going to sell very quickly because its house is in great shape, great price, great location, hits all the four what I call R's: right location, right price, right features, right condition on it, on the end of it. But if you take a look at these 20, 30 homes out there, you kind of have to carve out some of them because they're not necessarily they might be the right location, but they don't have the right price, they don't have the right features, they don't have the right conditions. So it's putting pressure even more on the ones that meet all the four rights. That should have been a sizzle reel. You should have said that.
That was fantastic. That's a sizzle reel waiting to happen. Put that down, Judah Wickhauer.
When you say that, I lose it.
Mark that time.
Just let me do my thing. I'm good.
Just like Keith be Keith.
Just let me do my thing.
Let Keith be Keith, and things work out. Andre thinks Gordonsville and Orange is going to be the next Crozet, a blue-collar version of Crozet.
I agree with Gordonsville. Orange is so huge, it's kind of hard to figure out. If he's thinking like the town of Orange, I don't disagree with that. They're kind of interconnected into it. But the Gordonsville area has always been.
It's beautiful.
Always been
quaint. It's cute.
Sure.
Yeah, it's charming.
Yeah. Mr. Manning and Chris Henry's crew and all
PBM
did some wonderful things out there. Unbelievable.
Well, he's no longer there, right?
No, but,
he sold his business.
But they were the reason it's the way
Gordonsville
it looks
became Gordonsville.
That's Gordonsville. Got put back on the map. The work that they did to the buildings and the town there is unbelievable. And I heard a statistic the other day. I don't know if I'll get into trouble, but is Neil watching?
Neil Williamson, if you're watching, let us know. We love when you watch this program.
I want to give him a shout out. He owns a restaurant in Gordonsville.
Well Hung Vineyard.
There you go.
Well Hung Vineyard is expanding, and it's opening up a restaurant.
It's already open. It's in Gordonsville.
Yeah.
It's been open. As a matter of fact, if I got my dates right, I think Neil opened it up just about the same time COVID popped up. But I may have my dates wrong.
One thing I want to throw to you is...
go out. If you guys want to go out and just enjoy an afternoon, you kind of go out to Castle Hill, hit Well Hung, grab a little barbecue.
You know who is the number one? I heard this stat the other day, and it's not PBM, because PBM sold. Do you know who is the number one tax revenue driver in Gordonsville is now?
I don't know.
Craig Hartman, Barbecue Exchange.
I can believe that.
With the restaurant, the events, the catering, all the people, he's doing that joint venture with Hunter Smith with Ice House.
So, do you go there regularly?
BBQ Exchange?
Yeah.
We had dinner there within the last month.
Got it. So if you go there on a weekend,
Lines out the door.
but where are they? Where are the people from when they line out the door?
I mean, all over Virginia.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's a destination restaurant.
Matter of fact, we are going up to visit our family, right, for Thanksgiving. So there's a couple of orders I've got. One is like Bodo's.
Barbecue Exchange.
Well, that's the third one. The second one is my pies.
Yeah.
And the
But
third.
you failed at that one.
Did you use the word fail?
What are you going to do? Are you going to get like all right, let them know what you did here. Are you going to get a Whole Foods pie and pass it
Do you
as
forget that I'm the executive producer?
No, I did not. He completely succeeded. The family's going to have 4 magical pies for Thanksgiving that will be memorable and talked about for generations to come.
So Mr. Smith and Mrs. Smith, we gave out pies to all our clients
were
and
generous.
friends and stuff like this. And I forgot to get mine for Thanksgiving, and they're out.
They sold out today.
No, they sold out for the weekend, right, for Thanksgiving. Mr. Smith, the genius, said, okay, I'll just show up a half an hour before the show and pick up 3
And
pies.
they said no?
No, the case was empty. At 9:30 in the morning, they opened up at 9. She says, 9:15, I was done.
Wow.
So Mr. Smith is going to be standing on line tomorrow morning at 8:30, because if you think I'm going to Connecticut
No, you're not.
without a pie.
Are you leaving tomorrow?
No. Sunday, I think.
Okay, so
Maybe
Tuesday
Monday.
we going virtual?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to. We got to go help our daughter with our grandson.
We can
so.
do that. It'll be
Yeah,
good.
we'll go virtual. We'll do something. Actually, probably just put my grandson on our lap and have a good time.
You should totally do that.
Yep.
Bring him on the show.
Yeah.
Harry Jr.?
Harry Keith Jr.
Harry Keith Jr. Keith?
That's his middle name, yeah.
Oh.
We call him Harry because it gets confused with Harry Sr. And I don't like little Harry.
Yeah, I was little Jerry. I didn't like little Jerry.
Have you ever realized how tall you are? It's kind of perfect, actually.
I'd punch you in the face if I could.
Well, you opened the door, brother. I just stepped into it.
I'd set you up for that.
You set me up.
What do you got planned for the weekend, my friend?
We're working all weekend, and we were gonna go up on Sunday, but we got clients on Sunday, so I think we're gonna go up on Monday. But we're
You got out of town clients, huh?
we do actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You getting close?
Excuse me.
You getting close?
Can't find them anything. We need listings, folks. It's. I don't know.
They got people with money and they can't find something to buy.
That's exactly right.
You going down the building route?
Actually, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also a problem too.
Why is that? Because it's just so far out the turnaround?
Well, yes and no, but now they got to find a rental, which is hard, right? This is just,
How long a rental are they looking for?
You got one?
I might have one.
We'll talk
I
offline.
might have one. January 15th.
Well, it's just the struggle is finding a lot that meets their criteria too.
Christopher Eagle says we need listings so badly.
We do.
Christopher, I think I saw you with a
Man,
listing at Lake Monticello.
what a freaking awesome job he did.
On the listing?
Oh, did you watch the video?
Oh, I did. He was dressed in a suit with a pink tie.
My kind of
Christopher
guy.
Eagle, you were looking sharp in that video.
I liked it. I was like, really nice job. I'm like, okay, I might have to lose a little bit of this. I got to up my game a little bit here.
Well, he was wearing a tie.
Yeah, I don't wear too many ties.
Well, is that the first time, Chris, you've done the video with a tie?
Have I ever done a video?
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's done many with a tie.
No, it caught my, whatever he did, it was freaking awesome. The typical, you're buzzing through.
And that stands out.
Well, you buzz through Facebook, and that it just caught my eye, and I watched the whole thing. So I got a little man crush on him. Don't tell him.
He's
that.
watching right now,
Don't tell him
and that's what he's trying to do: is stand out through the noise.
It was absolutely excellent. I hope he's getting some traction on it.
0.5% in Lake Monticello, the available inventory. 4,300 homes and 22 are on the market.
Yeah. Did Yonna confirm that number?
Well, no, I'm just going on what you said.
Oh yeah, we'll do that.
That's 0.5, 0.5%.
Yeah, we're at around 0.5%. At around 0.5%.
Crazy.
And like I said, a percentage of that 0.5% you got to toss out. Right, to just for whatever reason.
Why? Because it's unrealistic?
Well, the price might be too high.
Or the home's beat up?
People don't want to do it, but you're not. There's always a percentage of homes that are on the market that maybe just don't fit everybody's buyers. I don't want to disparage that at all. I'm just saying it's just
That's reality.
It's just a mathematical fact that to do that.
He says, I got to look good. I'm trying to stand out, my man. I'll take that man crush. Man crushes are good.
There you go,
the
buddy.
Showings are getting unreal on
Good
that
job.
listing right now.
How much is it? How much is it?
How much is it, and how many showings have you done? Christopher, give us some nitty gritty real quick. How much is the listing, and how many showings? He says the showings are unreal on that listing.
I can believe
Does
it,
that
yeah.
mean it's just nonstop turnaround, Chris? Do quick messages so I can relay your perspective on air faster. Not a long text in one block.
It's because it's got lots of syllables in it. You have. Well, that's me. You can read better than I can. Yeah, I got to tell you, man.
Lake Monticello is hot.
No, I just been thinking about this conversation we just had with Lisa.
It was awesome.
Oh,
it always
man.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's. I can't tell you how thankful.
She says there's 19 on the market, Keith.
There you go. 19.
19
So
houses
that's
on
less
the
than
market
a half a percentage
in
point.
Lake Monticello. 19. 196,000 from the house from Christopher Eagle.
Oh, dude.
7 showings yesterday.
What street is it on?
What street is it on, Christopher? More listings to come, more showings to come. I think he might sell his house in the next 5 minutes on this show. Smith wants 1%.
Nah,
joking.
Christopher's a great guy. Anything
Christopher
we
is a
can do
good
to
dude.
help.
He's a
Anything
good
we
dude.
can do to help him, we'd love to do it.
3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,400 square feet. More listings than more showings than I can count.
What street is it on?
What street? CE. Let us know, Christopher. 1,400 square feet.
We've been talking about getting him on the show.
This
one
is
of
the
these days.
quintessential starter home,
Yeah.
Smokewood Drive.
Yeah, Smokewood. Yeah, there you go. Well, you'll have that sold by the end of the weekend.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, where are you going to buy a home?
Yeah, nowhere at that price. Under 200,000.
Under 200,000.
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
So it's roughly.
He says he's going to buy you some beer for this.
There you go. I mean,
He likes gin.
I prefer gin, but it's got alcohol in it. I'll take it. I'm good.
Okay. But what were you going to say?
I forgot.
No, you didn't.
I'm only kidding. So just think about that, right? Lake Monticello, great, under 200
Great
grand,
neighborhood.
1,500 square feet. It's on a third of an acre lot. The location it's at's a pretty darn good location where it's at. You got, grocery stores, banks, all that great stuff around there. I believe that, and Yonna knows this more than I do.
Yoda's watching now.
I think the dues are about $1,000 a year.
That's great.
Something like that. You get 5 beaches, your own police department, your own fire department, the trash picked up, plowed, right? It parks out the what. It's a great place to be, and it's about, depending on where you're working in Charlottesville.
20 minutes from everything.
Yeah, 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on. I can get from my house to.
He lives at Lake Monticello. Keith does.
I do. We built a subdivision in there. I can get from my house to Show in 45 minutes.
Your house to where?
Oh, Charlottesville Airport.
Okay.
Sorry
that's
about that.
fast.
45 minutes.
You can get from Lake Monticello to the
I get
airport
from my
in 45
door.
minutes.
I can get to my door and be parked and walking in the terminal in 45 minutes.
$1,107 a year for dues.
Okay, got it.
$1,100.
That was close.
Yeah, you said 1,000.
Yeah, that was close. Yeah. So yeah, it's a hell of a deal. I mean, that's we're giving a shout out to Chris here, but we desperately need listings out there. Maybe Chris, you and I will get together, see if we can team up and get some more listings going out there. But the struggle is where the person who's selling, and this is not giving away too much information, personal information, Chris, but tell us about your seller. Where are they moving? What's their?
What do you think?
What do I
have
think?
an idea. I say they're moving out of the area.
I would probably bet a bottle of bourbon they're moving out, or gin.
I'm going to say they're moving out of the area.
Yeah, they're moving out of the area. I don't think they're laterally moving.
Yeah, well,
But
they
they
wouldn't
could
stay in
be.
the area and sell this at $1.96 because they're not going to find anything else at $1.96 to move
Yeah,
into.
but they could be moving into a new construction, moving up, right?
It's true.
Right? They, don't kind of limit them to that one path. They could be moving up. They could be moving to a new construction in Spring Creek. Who knows?
I thought about this. Andy Wilfong, I thought about doing this. Jerry Miller should do a listing showcase or a quick segment once a week or every day on hand-picked listings to put on the I Love CVille Network. You may be able to charge all these real estate agents money for the exposure you're going to give them. Keith Smith over here is saying, stop talking, Andy Wilfong. What are you talking about?
But isn't what I'm doing with you? I thought that's what I was paying for.
That's what you do. They moved out of state for a new job.
There you go.
We
right, you
called it.
You called it.
Moved out of state for a new job.
Good for you.
Well, you called. We knew that was going to happen.
It could have been.
Christopher Eagle's got a house under $200K at Lake Monticello.
Good.
Under $200,000.
So are we doing this for 1%? Is that what we're doing this for?
I think C. Eagle's going to get us both, me some beer and you a gin.
Well, that doesn't
That's
pay.
a pretty good deal.
Mr. Eagle, that doesn't pay the mortgage. I'm just saying. I'm only teasing you. Yeah. No, we're. It's funny. We're generating this live, but that's what we're going to be starting doing. After December here on the show, we're going to start showcasing stuff like this.
Yeah.
You just didn't know about it. We just did it.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This is basically Real Estate Weekly or Find Properties on steroids.
I thought it was Click and Clack, the Tappert brothers.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All right, we got to get out of here.
What time is it?
It's 11:25. You are A+ people.
Well, you guys are. All kidding aside, you say to me all the time, you learn from me, and I learn from you guys. And we're coming up on our second full year of doing this.
This is awesome.
And I would not have 2 years ago ever thought we were going to get to this point. The numbers you shared with me for October blew my mind.
And we have, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but next week some big-time news.
There will be, yep. Mm-hmm.
Can I just say that?
Sure. I think you just did.
Yeah. No, I'm going to say it one more time.
You just said it.
Big-time news on Real Talk next week.
Big-time news. What's big-time news? But we're going to.
Come on.
What's the matter? What do you
I
think?
got a little cut.
Oh.
Playing racket sports.
Oh, did you play it this morning?
I picked the scab. No, yesterday.
Did you win or did you lose?
I usually win. When it comes to racket sports, I usually win.
We got to work on that humbleness for you.
I'm being realistic. I'm good at racket sports.
Okay.
He's Judah Wickower. He's Keith Smith. My name is Jerry Miller. This is Real Talk. Two dudes having fun. We just brought in the chief economist of Virginia Realtors on this program.
She
was dynamite.
I'm so super blessed that it just amazes me when you pick up the phone on a Wednesday and say, "Hey, Lisa, what are you doing
on the show?
What are you doing on Friday?
So let's go.
Let's go." It's just like, wow.
She had fun. You could tell she had fun. I mean, we were giving her compliments, genuine compliments.
She was
fantastic.
Flat out gorgeous. That haircut
looked great.
Flat out gorgeous on her.
Looked good.
All
right, we're out of here.
We're done.
Have a good weekend.
What are we doing today?
Sell a house.
There you go. Well done.
I got Peter Castiglione, the owner of Maya Restaurant.
Oh, really? Cool.
Talking about the impact of the governor's new restrictions
Got it.
and the plan of how restaurants will make it through winter. And then Susan Steinmart of the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust has lined up someone. Susan's guest has a house from the Land Trust. Is that right, Judah?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a land trust in
So in other words, one of our property owners.
Yeah, property owner.
Cool.
It'll be a good show.
Yeah, so we're getting a little closer with that little marriage we're doing. So we're going to do some good stuff. We're actually going to have some, probably Tuesday, I might release some more information for you
On the
some land.
Piedmont?
On the
Yeah.
land. No. We're negotiating with a large, let's call it national builder, to do some magic. So
Did you ever tell me which one it was?
I did.
No, you never said it on air.
No, I'm not going to say it on. I can't.
You can't say it on air?
I can't say it on air.
Can I ask?
No, you can't.
And can I read you if I ask?
Then it would be on air.
Can I ask and you say nothing and I can read your body language?
No.
Okay. All right. I have too much respect for you.
I'm putting down my executive producer.
I'm not going to ask that.
I'm paying for this seat.
He's calling the He's pulling the executive producer call.
Coming right out.
I'm not going to ask the question.
Can we go? It's
We're
11:27.
Judah, Keith, Jerry, Real Talk, Yes Team Realtors, trusted advisors in the game. You guys have a good weekend. Take care. Brandon and Kristen Harrop said that was a phenomenal show.
I had fun. Lisa's unbelievable.
Yeah. So you should come on the program.
Yeah, we'll have to be respectful. I mean, she's